Great. So Elaebi Amaremo is a visual artist and designer based in Lagos, Nigeria, who creates animated paintings, photographs, and artworks, which explores themes of individuality, surrealism, and human relationships. And today, SuperWorld joins Elaebi this Wednesday, December 15th, 2021, to discuss a new groundbreaking project in collaboration with Monogramma entitled AR Evolution, Crypto Art Against Social Injustice. Today, we are honored to have Elaebi here to discuss the inception, process, and launch of this NFT project, coming soon in AR to SuperWorld and sold on the OpenSea platform. So firstly, to begin with, I'd love to ask, could you tell us a little bit about your background as an artist and how you developed your practice?
Okay, I've only been an artist for a couple years because in university I studied physics. So I'm a graduate of industrial physics and applied geophysics, but it's not something I've always wanted to do. And it's just a typical story of doing this because your parents would much rather prefer you went for, in quotes, real career than being an artist. So art is a fairly recent development for me. I've been at it since 2017. And I typically started with pencil drawings, making random sketches. And over time, I like to learn new stuff. So I just decided to evolve. And apologies about that. I moved into painting, and now I'm learning sculpture, but painting is my primary means of communication visually.
Awesome. And to what degree has the political climate in Lagos and Nigeria as a whole informed your creative process?
Basically, as the average citizen living in Nigeria, every decision you make is influenced by government practices because it's a very, in quotes, stifling environment where if something seems too good to be true for the citizens, the government comes into, oh yeah, how can we make this terrible and how can we make it more difficult? And so being an artist, first of all, is not a very respected career path, or it's just not the field to explore as a Nigerian because you have more real life issues than art can typically solve. Luckily, NFTs have come to bring the much needed exposure and all of that, but typically you face a lot of challenges as an artist. You don't really go out because being a muralist, I could get harassed by cops or just anybody. There's a lot because art materials are not readily available. I mean, it's either they're really expensive or too expensive for the average person to afford. And these things are affected by the government because of their importation policies and all of that. It's just very, it's just a lot to talk about, and I could keep on rambling if we decided to really go into that.
No worries.
I'm really interested, Elaebi, that, I mean, it's certainly becoming an artist is never an easy decision for anybody anywhere in the world. But is, in making that decision, I mean, going from a physics background and then entering a field of art that's, it's risky on a professional level, it's risky on a personal level because of, government crackdowns. Was that something that, you felt like in becoming an artist and kind of cultivating your art, were you driven by the situation in Lagos and in Nigeria? I mean, was that something that made it in an odd way easier for you to be an artist because you needed to react to what was happening? Or I'm just very interested in how you made that, difficult and brave decision.
Okay, so personally, I always push for self-expression because I believe that's the essence of life, basically. we're all here to like have our voices heard and basically say the things that we need to say in our own ways and lend voices to other people who can't. So definitely the situation or the political situation in Nigeria plays a very big factor, because these are things that affect you on a personal level, like I said, and you come out every day and you see these things and you have to talk about them. I only decided to go the visual and routes because I believe it's my responsibility
Uh-oh, we got a lag there.
to do that as an artist and try to get just get word out, basically.
Thank you for that question, or for that answer. So in terms of conceptualizing artistic projects, what does your process usually look like? What was the process specifically for creating AR Evolution?
Oh, AR Evolution. So the first piece in the series was created a year ago, and like I said earlier, it was right after the NSHA's incident, and that was a situation where the Nigerian youth came out in the streets to basically stage a peaceful protest, and basically the government involved the army, and people got killed for protesting against the same things that we said, like, is what we see every day. You get harassed by the cops for no good reason. People get killed. People get arrested. Like, a family member could just disappear they could just disappear, and you probably think, oh, this person is being in an accident or something, but no, they're in a police station rotting away for nothing. And it's crazy stuff like that happened. And when this happened on the 20th of October last year, I was home and I heard the news. So people got fired on, because where I live and where it happened is not that far away, but there are basically different congregations of protesters, because we tried to go as far as possible and as wide as possible. So boom, we heard that people had been killed in the other location. And we're like, what? The whole country went into panic. People got scared, and basically everything just went, because you could imagine the shock where, oh, these are people you're standing with, you're standing by and saying, oh, we're trying to bring an end to this, to that. And boom, in the blink of an eye, people are getting fired on, people are running away, and boom, it degenerated into chaos for a minute, and then peace and silence, just because of the confusion and the realization that, oh, these people are really against us trying to have a voice or any of that. And I decided, if I can't go out to protest alone, I could go do what I would typically do. And I went out and with a friend, Civilized Villager, that's his name, and we created the first mural. And it was all very conceptual, because a photograph had gone viral the day before, and that was just the reference. The woman in the picture she's an activist who she stood her grounds when people were getting fired, and we said that, yeah, that was a symbol of strength and basically camaraderie. So we based the first mural off of that, got my paints and brushes. I don't typically wait for funding or anything. I create all murals on my own budget. So sorry?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it's cool. So I got my materials and we went out and boom, we made the piece. And we were a little bit skeptical about putting it out and throwing it all over the internet, because we thought, oh, this could go viral and they could come looking for us. But I thought to myself, what's the point? If it's in the streets already, so might as well put it up. And it went viral on Twitter. Like, it went really, really viral. And there were plans to replicate murals like that in other locations in the country, but the funding for that wasn't right at the time. So I just continued to do it on my own budget, and I made 2 more murals, and those are basically the first 3 in a series of 10. And then I'll close the collection, and I'll keep creating, but just we don't address the same topics over and over.
That's great. That's and we wanted to also, for the audience and for ourselves, to display your series of works and maybe have you talk a little bit about them. And Julia, are you able to throw that the first? Okay, great. Okay, so yeah, here is the first image. And was this, I was curious, this was the first mural that you made, is that correct?
Yes, definitely. The first piece made last year.
And I'm just kind of curious, the image right there, that's the activist Aisha Yusufu, is that correct?
Yes, absolutely correct.
Cool. And so we would love to hear a little more about the artistic process that went into it and how you kind of conceptualized the photograph and the event and made it your own. And I know I totally respect and understand that artists oftentimes don't want to talk about their work. So you can talk about it either on a kind of broad sense or specifically whatever you feel most comfortable with. But it's such a wonderfully compelling image, and I would love to hear you kind of talk about how you went about doing it from on a technical level, to a thematic level, however you'd like to tell us about it.
Okay, thank you. So basically, my work has a lot of symbolism, because I feel if not everything can be said, but if I can make you feel something, I've done my part in communicating as an artist, because I don't always have to speak. So I try to use symbolism a lot in my work, and in this particular piece, I opted for monochrome because that's how I work typically, and it just explores the darker sides of being a human. Because in the two-tone system, there's not so much to detail, and the lack of faces was basically out of respect for those people out there, because it's a terrible thing that just happened, and we try to we all won basically, and we were in the streets as one. So picking out random faces to just say pick, or we didn't want to do any of that. We kept the faces blank because we are those people in the artwork. We stand with them and we respect them, and basically the Nigerian flag with the blood is very symbolic also, because when this event happened at the Lekki toll gate, and when the soldiers came, there were protesters shouting, "Oh, we have the flags," because there's this sort of unwritten rule that if you have the flag of a country, a soldier of that country cannot shoot you or cannot harm you or something like that. But these people were, there's audio recordings where these people said, "Oh, stay, they're not gonna shoot, we have the flags and this and that." But that didn't help, and they got mowed down, they got killed and all of that. So the red handprints just represented the pain and the death, because it was very dark period and it is a very dark period in our history, because I mean it was really crazy at the time, and we just explored basically themes of symbolism and put our message out, because I feel it's a very emotionally compelling piece, and you just look at it and there's a lot of deep thought as to, oh wow, why is this here and why did this happen, or what was behind the story. So but on the technical level, this is everyday work for me, where I compose my ideas in my head. So once I see my canvas, if I'm able to translate what I have to my canvas, which in this case is the wall, I just go about playing with light and shade, and I achieve the result I want. So it's just regular painting, creating a mural on a wall. It's all about the work itself.
That's great. And so often, I mean, we see these images from protests, and it comes, you know, as part of, or as seen through the male gaze, or featuring, you know, kind of male protesters. And I love, and Julie and I were talking about how this is a work that really sort of highlights, you know, female empowerment in the struggle. And is that something specifically that you were interested in reaching and in conveying, is the role of women in this fight against the oppression by the government? Because I think it makes. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, yeah. Sorry to cut in, but yes, definitely. In Nigeria, women have always been at the forefront of protests, or like marching against the government, because there's a lot of disrespect for women, in the sense that we do not respect their strength as human beings. We tend, especially in the African system, we tend to see them as in more supportive roles, where, oh boom, there has to be a man ahead, but women really take charge. And in the second piece in this series, you would see one hand in solidarity, and then two women on the side, one with, I think we could talk about that piece later, but yes, women empowerment is definitely something particular about. I was primarily raised by my mom, so it's what I know, and it's what I've seen, it's what I've experienced. And I just have to pay tribute to the beautiful women who have shown me strength, and where people just see, oh, support and all of that, but women are strong people, and I like to highlight them as such.
Awesome. Thank you so much for, elaborating on that and your process, both the process and the, composition of the work itself. So kind of moving on to the second work, which I will display here. I wanted to ask you, the second piece depicts a, sorry, a little technical difficulty. Well, sorry.
Yeah, is this the right order, the first one? I mean, are they to be seen in a specific order?
Yeah,
because we were kind of curious.
I don't think they have to be seen in a specific order, but okay. I labeled them in a specific order.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. So speaking to this piece specifically, it displays a shackled wrist, its fist raised in defiance. I wanted to ask, can you tell us a little bit about this piece and how it fits into the narrative of the other two works, the third work of which we'll show following this one? Could you go into that a little bit?
Oh yes, definitely. So like I said, the title of this project is mural and social mirror art against social injustices, and this shackled fist, in simple terms, the youth in Nigeria feel like the country doesn't want you to move forward. The country makes it difficult for you to live. The government makes it difficult for you to grow. There's no ease of doing business. The security forces are out of control. It's almost like the government is intentionally holding you back. So this fist raising the finances, every Nigerian youth has had a run-in with the police. You've had to shout your way out of certain situations. You've had to power your way out of certain situations, because in the blink of an eye, it could go 360, and boom, you're in the wrong situation with the police, and anything could happen. So there's this element of defiance the youth always exhibits, because we're used to being held down and all of that. So we just have to fight through and it's just like power to the people. We can't let these few hold down the plenty, and we just have to fight against the oppression, basically, as cliche as it sounds, but that's what the reality is.
Mhm. Thank you for elaborating on that. And, to round out the 3-work series, I just wanted to display this for the audience. And this work displays a young man in silhouette against a dripping red sun, a machine gun in one hand, and the bloodied flag of Nigeria in the other. As in the first piece, there's a compelling and complicated representation of opposition, desperation, and hope, patriotism and insurgency, life and death. Does your work intentionally articulate this complicated relationship with Nigeria, or is it something that for you has kind of sprung up organically?
Well, it's I would say it's a little bit of both, because organically because this is my reality. My art has to at some point have elements of my reality in it, and this is what it is. This is what it feels like. It's almost like it's a constant struggle, but it's really just a juxtaposition of my position as an individual in a country or as a citizen, and as an artist that has to talk about these experiences and just express them visually and in a way for all people can look and understand and connect. It's basically just a juxtaposition of my citizenship and as an artist, I have to address this, but in my own way, and boom, I figure out the concepts and just throw in the symbols where you understand the bloody flag symbolizes this symbolizes this, and all of that.
Gotcha. Thank you for walking us through that. So I'll turn it over to Tyler to, elaborate on a couple of different areas of, your work beyond these three projects or these 3 murals. I'll just hand it over to him.
Oh, no, I think, these 3 images are, of course, so compelling, and we're honored to have them, featured in augmented reality. And, of course, our grander hope is to have, students, supporters, people all over the world, recognize the themes and the struggle that you articulate through these paintings. And was curious how, how did the transition for you happen, going from a sort of 2-dimensional mural to placing the works in augmented reality? Was that something that you had envisioned when you began the work? I imagine it wasn't, but maybe it was. I was just curious because, for me, and I think hopefully for everybody, it's going to really resonate that these, works were done and placed by you in Lagos, but that the themes and the images can be placed and will resonate anywhere in the world. And was just sort of curious about how you went from, your journey from a kind of a 2-dimensional space to having it featured in 3 dimensions in AR.
Okay, thank you. So to be very honest, at the time where I made these paintings, I didn't intend for them to be more than that. Like, I had done the work and I felt, oh, boom, it was fine. But there's always that spark for innovation. As I was having a conversation with Mr. Harvey of Monogramma, and he actually brought it up because he had introduced me to the SuperWorld app a while ago, and he told me to get familiar and just try to understand how it works. So just boom, I looked up the SuperWorld app, and then in conversation it came up, and it was like, because I wanted to bring the murals to the blockchain and have them out there, but the idea of putting them in AR, converting them into 3D assets and using them in AR was the genius beat by Monogramma, and they've been really supportive, and he's been really helpful in the advisory position, helping me really understand, because I've messed with 3D, but on a very beginner level. And this is the first project I'm actually integrating 3D properly, and it's definitely nice going through the SuperWorld app.
We're really excited about it, and you know, can't wait to sort of to blast this out on a much grander level. I wanted to move on just to a couple of more of broader questions about the state of the arts in Nigeria, and was curious how you would interpret, how would you characterize the state of the arts in Nigeria right now, and can you talk about a little bit what it's like right now to be an artist, whether a street artist, a poet, a musician? I'm very curious to, I mean, you've given us some idea that it's not easy, and along with art comes a kind of fear, but wanted to get your impression of just the kind of general state of the arts right now.
Quite frankly, the Nigerian artists in themselves they're extremely talented people, absolutely ingenious, and very hardworking. In the simplest terms, these are people who put in too much work to get whatever they get, basically, because, like we said, there's no real enabling society. The artists are the community, and we're basically just pushing hard to grow. And where NFTs really came and became a boom for artists, visual artists, musicians all over the world, in Nigeria, it's a bit of a hassle because crypto transactions are blocked. And also Twitter, which is about the main community for NFTs, is also banned for their involvement in the NSAS project. Because at the time of the protests, Jack of Twitter created an emoji in solidarity with the NSAS project. So if you tweeted a hashtag NSAS, it came with an emoji, and that really unsettled the government, and they got the use of Twitter banned. So for the average NFT artist, everybody uses a VPN just to access Twitter. Crypto transactions are banned. You can do that straight from your bank app. So you're basically doing too much at every given time just to get whatever you deserve. And it's a bit of a hassle, but like I said, Nigerian artists are very relentless people. And if there's room for growth, we're going to grow. So we just explore whatever means we could to connect with the international community and just try to get our work out there.
Right.
And on a different note, I'm very interested in, which artists have influenced you. Tyler and I know that you're also a poet and a writer. So we wouldn't want to limit your answers to just visual artists, but we'd just love to hear about, which people inspire you.
Oh, for visual arts, I take I have a couple Nigerian artists. There's this guy, Kyo Oji. His ingenuity is insane, and there's just different people I look up to in a sense, in terms of different aspects of artistry, because some people are more technical and some people are more creative, and they basically just inspire you to also do better because you come across all of these things. And as a writer, I typically do poetry, and it's just something where I have a sort of a little community where I share my work at, because it's not really something poetry is kind of a lot more personal for me. So it's not work I just try out to the public and boom, boom, boom. But I definitely have, I like to take my influences from people who can really relate to what I do. So typically I have a lot of local, I wouldn't call them mentors, but yeah, these are people I look up to, and their names shouldn't really be that, wouldn't strike a bell or nothing, but they definitely inspire me in a lot of ways, and I just look up to them.
Awesome. Awesome. So we're coming up on about 8.5 minutes left in our interview. I wanted to ask, what can we expect to see from you in the future? And do you have any specific projects that you'd like to talk about, or any you'd like to share with us that maybe, may not be secret or in the works?
Oh no, it's just a lot of my work this year really touched on political issues, and I've worked on a couple, in my opinion, I consider them great collections, because pieces, like I said, about what I can relate to my everyday life definitely matter to me more than exploring or just being creative. So in this AR evolution was about my most important project for the year. I've done a whole lot of other stuff, but this is going to be the highlight of my year, because this is something I consider very important to me. And as for projects coming, I'm working on a new collection, Red, which is going to be a whole lot, because it's going to span across different platforms. There's going to be 3D assets, and there's going to be 2D assets, and I just have a whole amazing story wrapping it all up, and I'll definitely keep you in the loop, Julia.
Yeah, keep us in the loop, and we certainly don't understand if you don't want to give away too much.
Yeah.
Right now, if you had any questions for us, if there was anybody, other artists you wanted to shout out, or any, if you have in front of you the web, the address of your collection on OpenSea. I mean, obviously, we'll put that out in our announcement.
Oh yeah, definitely. I could share the link. I've got a couple pieces up on OpenSea, and I dabble in photography too. So
Great.
I went on a trip and explored this remote village, where I just really wanted to show the unseen beauties, because these are beautiful places where no one really explores and all of that. And I'll definitely be shouting out Civilized Villager. Is that's an interesting name. Civilized Villager is also a visual artist and a muralist. So we typically work together, and this project basically wouldn't be possible without him. But yeah, I'm just the one putting it all out, and yeah, it's definitely great to be doing this with SuperWorld, and we'll definitely work on a lot more together.
Yeah, well, the pleasure is certainly all ours, Elaebi, and we really want to thank you again for joining us today. Our lines of communication are always open. If you have any questions about our app, our platform, art, anything at all, we'd love to chat with you, and we've really enjoyed meeting you.
Yes, same here. About the app, I think I've done a lot of research on the app. I've explored it. I've viewed the marketplace. It's pretty interesting. I definitely think there's a couple bugs that should be touched, but overall, its functionality works fine for me, and I've had a couple other people who test it out, and yeah, it's a good fit. It works fine for the cause.
Awesome. And before we sign off, could you also let the audience know your socials, just so they can find you on social media?
On my handle on social are all the same. It's I'm at Amaremo Elaebi.
Gotcha.
That's Amaremo Elaebi on Instagram, on Twitter, OpenSea Foundation. It's the same everywhere.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time, and thanks for having me.
Great. Looking forward to showing your artwork on our social channels.
Oh, definitely. Thank you. That would really appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Talk soon.
Talk soon. Bye-bye.